take a picture of that?
Kéo lâu hơn mình này chim ơi.
你可以加上那个吗？可以吗？
Okay, let's go. Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome aboard the Universal Studio Tour. My name's Terry, and I'll be your guide today as we take you behind the scenes of the biggest and busiest entertainment and the movie studio in the world, Universal Studios Hollywood. The Universal Studio Tour is presented by Kodak, who has long been a pioneer in the motion picture industry, playing a vital role. Now I'd like to introduce you the woman who keeps this show rolling. Everyone give it up for our driver, Valerie! Woo! And we're out of here. Now we are about to leave the theme park behind and take you into the heart of a working studio where some of the biggest names in Hollywood come to work every day. In fact, here are the more than 8,000 movies we've made. Over the years, we've taken audiences from ancient Rome to the wild, wild west, from the streets of New York to the jungles of Africa, from the bottom of the ocean to the surface of the moon, and we never even left our property. How is this possible?
Stage of the project where the filmmakers come up with an idea for a movie. Then they try to get that idea produced.
Sounds easy.
It's not.
Oh.
Every year the studio receives thousands of screenplays. Maybe 50 make it into development. And only a dozen or so actually get made into movies.
Wow.
So getting a script produced in Hollywood is kind of like winning the lottery.
Now those bungalows used to be the dressing rooms of the stars during the golden age of Hollywood. They were the home away from home for stars like Rock Hudson, Doris Day, and Lucille Ball. And their production on the right, you're going to see these buildings. This is our metropolitan area of our backlot, and they may look like they're made of brick and stone and cement, but that's just another Hollywood illusion, because actually they're made of foam rubber, styrofoam, and other lightweight materials. It's the job of the production designer to come down here and transform these little sets into just about any country, any city in the world we need, at any time period, from one production to the next. We use them over and over again so that hopefully hopefully you won't recognize them. Right now we're on Little Brownstone Street. And it was seen as Chicago for the Blues Brothers and also Chicago for the Sting. And you should have no problem recognizing this area of our back lot, because right now we are on the very road that Marty McFly drove his time-traveling DeLorean to 88 miles per hour in the Back to the Future films. And over here on the left-hand side, that's Courthouse Square, and there's the clock tower that Doc Brown was able to harness that bolt of lightning that sent Marty McFly back to 1985. Now, Michael J. Fox played a versatile role in the Back to the Future movies. He played a teenage Marty, a middle-aged Marty, his son Marty Jr., his daughter Marlene, and a distant relative from the 1800s. Courthouse Square gave an equally versatile performance. It was transformed into several different time periods for the Back to the Future films, including 1955, 1985, and a futuristic 2015. Now for the making of the plastic surgery shop. Pretty funny. Now we just crossed over our New York Street. We'll see that in a little bit. But sometimes we have to build an entire section like New York Street inside of a soundstage for technical reasons. And we did that just up ahead. You want to get your camera? Macaulay Culkin. It's also been San Francisco for the Warner Brothers film Dirty Harry. And San Francisco for Dr. Dolittle, starring Eddie Murphy. We transformed it into London in the swinging 60s for Austin Powers 2, The Spy Who Shagged Me. And it's been Minneapolis at Christmas time for flashback there. No, I can't see the fifth car. Fourth car, could you turn and tell me, is the fifth car still with us? Do you see them? Are they there? No. We're fired. They range in size from 2 inches to 30 feet tall, caused by our lighting equipment. And we find with artificial plants and trees, if a leaf should happen to fall off, we can do what any good gardener would do. We staple them right back on. Now, not only do the plants and trees sometimes have to be fake, but entire locations as well. Take a look at your screens. Ah, look at that. Even though it's sunny, we can make it snow. This is what we call a forced perspective miniature, and you're going to see it on the left-hand side. On camera, it looks full-sized. But as you can see, it's not. Just another Hollywood illusion. This particular miniature was used in the making of Dante's Peak, starring Pierce Brosnan, and might be in the Lost World, Jurassic Park. On the left side, we're passing by Fleetwood RV, which is the mobile lab unit in the film, The Lost World. You might remember Jeff Goldblum and Julianne Moore hanging on for dear life inside that over the side of a cliff. Well, it wasn't really a cliff they were hanging off of, but one of our parking structures here at Universal Studios. You'll also see some styrofoam bones. Those are fake. No dinosaurs were killed in the making of the movie. Also, these are picture cars. They don't actually have working parts in them. They're just props used to decorate the sets. And some of these props were also used in the making of Jurassic Park 3. And even though Mexico is only a few hours away from Los Angeles, we did find it a little bit cost-effective to build our own version of Mexico right here on our back lot. This is our old Mexico area. And as you can see, the ground's a little wet. We've been working on some special new rain effects down here. We talked to some technicians. And we're going to give you a little demonstration of how we can create rain for the camera. Oh yeah, hear that little light? Thunder coming in, got some lightning. The lightning's going to be created by turning giant floodlights on and off. And there's the rain. To create rain, we just put sprinklers on the buildings and up in the trees, and we just let the water fall naturally. And years ago, they discovered that rain didn't appear very well in front of the cameras, so they found that by adding milk to the water, it made the raindrops more visible. So in actuality, Gene Kelly was singing in the milk. Now, it should be cutting off soon, because if we get too much rain, we sometimes get mudslides and flash floods. We should be fine, as long as we don't hear rumbling like that. Look out, everybody! Woo! Anybody get wet? No? Well, don't worry, we'll get you. especially if you're sitting in a blue seat. Now we created this flash flood by dumping tons of... We're just going to return to the tanks on top of the hill and to the drinking fountains in the upper part of the park. Our Old Mexico area was also seen in the Orion picture, The Three Amigos, starring Chevy Chase, Steve Martin, and Martin Short. And also the TV show Simon and Simon. They filmed here a lot. We also filmed Castle Rock's What's Love Got to Do With It, starring Angela Bassett and Lawrence Fishburne in this area. Right now, we're going to cross the border from Old Mexico and take you into the Old West. Can I get a good yee-haw from ya? On the count of three. Ready? 1, 2, 3! Yeehaw! That's right. So right now, we are going to take you right on down Denver Street. This old town saw a lot of action in the heyday of the Western. You know what I'm talking about. Guys getting punched, thrown up against brick walls, thrown through plate glass windows, and they had chairs crashed over their heads. Well, our cowboys, they were tough, but they weren't crazy. You see, the walls are just made of styrofoam, so they bounce right back. The windows made of a lightweight material called candy glass. The chairs, lightweight balsa wood, and those punches, of course, were carefully choreographed. Now keep all of this in mind as we take a look at Denver Street from years ago.
You're just going to stir things up here. Well, I am.
Dare you hit that man?
Mine hit the ground first. Mine was taller.
Well, I'm sure you recognize the actor in the last clip. That was the greatest cowboy of them all, the Duke, John Wayne. Now, John Wayne actually got his start here at Universal Studios. Characters named John, 7 named Duke, and none named Marion. Although I did hear he was up for the female lead in Psycho, Marion Crane. Now, remember I told you we could take you from the bottom of the ocean to the surface of the moon? Well, here's how we do it. For the bottom of the ocean, we use what we call an underwater tank. And it's coming up here on the left-hand side. It's this cylinder building up here, made of metal. It's painted blue on the inside. And we fill it with water when we're filming. There's the tank on your screens. There's the inside. We fill it with water. We put the actor inside. And then we open up the hatches on the outside and we film with our cameras, basically from the outside in. It's been used in TV shows like Seinfeld, when Kramer swam the East River, and also the movie Dragnet.
I found the snake!
With Tom Hanks. Now, what about the surface of the moon? Well, believe it or not, we're driving on it. This asphalt road was turned into the lunar surface for Apollo 13, also starring Tom. With a full-size sub, take a look at your screens and see if you can tell the difference between them. U5711, an Academy Award for Best right now. I think I saw this in a movie once. On the count of 3, everyone say, "Part the waters, please." Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Part the waters!
Please. Yeah, that's the magic word. Let's take a look. Oh, wow. It looks like the waters are parting. Give yourselves a great big round of applause. You did it. Woo! Now, this is an oldie but a goodie. It's the Red Sea attraction on our back lot, named after the Paramount film The Ten Commandments, which starred Charlton Heston. And in just a moment, we're going to go down, down, down to the deep Red Sea. So I want you to pick up your belongings, your feet, or anything you don't want to get wet, because sometimes the waters do come aboard. And also get your cameras out. We'll have a nice sea level picture. Pretty cool. This was also featured in History of the World Part 1. And here we go. props to good use. Now here we are in the Square of Warriors, and it was right there that we filmed The Scorpion King, starring The Rock. It's also on those very steps that Sir Laurence Olivier addressed the ancient Romans in the movie Spartacus, directed by Stanley Kubrick back in 1960. Yeah, Stanley Kubrick used amazing props and hot set. It's called a hot set because it's fully dressed, it's ready for shooting. The cast and crew have been on the set all day long, but they're opening the doors for us to go inside because they've taken a break. So we get to see this amazing set. Now this is the only two-level set in all of Hollywood. On the upper level, they've created an urban street scene. Unfortunately, we don't get to see that, but we do get to see the lower level, which they've created to make look as realistic as possible, like a subway system. I believe the BART subway in San Francisco. Now this was originally used in the Fox movie Beverly Hills Cop 3 with Eddie Murphy. And you can see that they've left a lot of the camera equipment out. So this is a good oh. What's that? I think we just had a tremor, folks. We have those all the time in California. Okay, let's see what we get right now. We have perfectly safe on the freedom. There's not a panic. There's not a panic. So look out for the truck back there. The city's collapsing. It looks like they didn't get the right shark. Hey, George! The diver George is still in the water. Get out of the water, George! Now there's a hot set for you. Has been home to more stars than Beverly Hills. Tom Hanks lived here in the movie The Burbs, Christina Ricci in Casper. It was hit by a killer comet in the Paramount DreamWorks co-production Deep Impact. And also, a lot of vampires camped out here for the Warner Brothers TV show Buffy the Vampire Slayer. This is Anytown, USA on the right-hand side. We can turn this into Anytown in the USA as where it gets its name. The White Church is where Beaver Cleaver went to school, and the Colonial Mansion was seen in Uncle Tom's Cabin. Now, what would the average day here on Colonial Street look like if it really existed? Well, we've created this little version. Lived in every house on Colonial Street, only with a different husband each time. You go, girl. Now, this idyllic little neighborhood can be transformed for many commercials as well as music videos, and it has for a phone. Yeah, in fact, we used over 2 million linear feet of styrofoam sculpted to look like these buildings and then painted. We used enough artificial snow to cover 9 football fields, and we used 1,938 candy canes to decorate the set. 1,939 if you count the one I ate. Now, if you thought the Who's were a little strange, it might be because of the influence of their neighbors. Because right here, next door, is the Bates Family Motel from the 1960 thriller Psycho, directed by Alfred Hitchcock. Now, it was right there in room number 1 next to the office that Janet Leigh lost her life in the shower in the film. And you know it was a very, very famous scene, that shower scene. It was very controversial and part of a strange incident a few years ago. You see, the tramps were driving by the house, and a man dressed as mother, brandishing a knife, came out of the doors and even went so far as to jump on some of the tramps, scaring the living daylights out of the guests on board. Then he disappeared. Well, we had no idea who this man was. We called security, and Marley's Angels and the amazing splashdown sequence from Apollo 13 when the capsule splashed down in the ocean. There it is, you see it? Some computer-generated imagery in the
director of The Mummy. When I began this project, I knew it was going to be a challenging shoot. The biggest challenge was to recreate the mysterious world of ancient Egypt and a very threatening monster that could frighten a modern-day audience. Luckily, I had my buddies up at George Lucas's Industrial Light and Magic on my side. For The Mummy, ILM used a combination of live-action footage of actor Arnold Vosloo with computer-generated imagery in a way that had never before been seen on film. The end result was truly amazing, and a new era in motion picture effects was born.
Now, a few years ago, they had a little incident up here at the Mummy's tomb. So we don't actually take the trams anywhere near here. We're actually going to bypass it and head on back to the tram station. So please make sure you have all your personal belongings with Valerie. Uh-oh, folks, there's something wrong with our driver. She has a funny look on her face. Now, normally she looks like that after listening to me talk for an hour, but this time it's different. I think she's under the spell of the Mummy. She's taking us right into the heart of the tomb. So those scarab beetles stick to see them, and those flesh-eating beetles moving. I don't think we're supposed to be in here. Oh no. The walls are starting to turn around us. I speak ancient Egyptian, I'll translate it. He says, now you know how your laundry feels in the dryer. You know, I feel a little funny. Is my eye okay? Because it just, oh.
Universal's founder, Carl Laemmle, had a vision. He wanted to make movies that would make audiences.
what we just did? Hold on for a second. Nâng cái group, nâng cái bảo giúp chị nhé đi. Đến đấy.
Think of it, maybe I can make it worth your while. That is, if you help me find Doc Brown's time machine. You know, flying DeLorean. What's the matter, you chicken? Hey, you! See any suspicious looking characters around here? No, sir. You're quiet as a rat. Just repairing the security camera in case anyone does show up. Well, okay. You just... Space-time continuum.
Đây bị chó nó bị nghĩ nè. Đây bị mấy kia nè, bỏ mấy
ơi, kia coi nhá. Cái gì chập chập nữa nè.
mà chỉ kia đây.
Biff, how in blazes did you get in here? Why don't you ask these bozos? Doc, one of our time travel teams was conducting an experiment back in 1955.
He must have stolen away.
Lúng chưa handy nữa.
Rockford Files and the Munsters. In fact, on the backlot tramp tour, you can see some of the Beeves neighborhood, as well as the Munsters house. When on the Starway, please hold the handrail at all times and attend children carefully. For their safety, children are not allowed to ride the Starway in strollers. Also, there is no smoking, please. As you step onto the escalator, please stand in the center of the step, avoiding the sides. Face forward at all times when on the escalator and remain standing. For your own safety, please do not sit on the steps. Thank you.
John Nash was the greatest mind of his generation.
The great John Nash.
But his mind was pushed too far.
Reason your way out of it. Why not?
And achieve the impossible. Critics are raving about a beautiful mind. Even if nobody with 2 thumbs up, Jeffrey Lyons says Russell Crowe gives a performance nothing short of astonishing. And now it's the winner of 5 Critics' Choice Award nominations, including Best Picture, Best Actor, and Best Director.
I need to believe that something extraordinary.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this performance of Waterworld. This show contains many pyrotechnic effects. For your safety and the safety of the performers, we ask your cooperation in remaining seated during the entire performance, keeping all aisleways clear. Thank you, and enjoy the show.
Damas y caballeros, bienvenidos al espectáculo de Waterworld. Esta función contiene el uso de juegos pirotécnicos. Por su seguridad y la de nuestros actores, pedimos que se mantengan sentados durante el espectáculo, manteniendo los pasillos libres. Muchas gracias y que disfruten del espectáculo de hoy.
皆様、ウォーターワールドショーへようこそ。このショーではパイロテクニックの特殊効果が使用されています。お客様と出演者の安全のため、ショーの最中はお席をお立ちにならず、通路へ立ち入らないようお願いいたします。それではこれからのショーをごゆっくりお楽しみください。
The future. The polar ice caps have melted, and the continents are deep beneath the waves. The survivors live on these floating fortresses known as atolls in this place called Waterworld. Brave explorers voyage in search of the legend of dry land, the last remaining on the planet. But the Deacon, maniacal leader of a group of evil raiders called Smokers, is determined to find dry land first. He's ensured that no explorer has ever returned until now.
Đứng lại không mẹ? Đứng lại không? Lai Sơn kìa.
All it takes is a quarter and a little bit of luck to be a winner. And yeah, it's the only game you can play for less than
Wow.